there, friends, and welcome to another episode of Ren Talks, the industry insider podcast about Renaissance fairs. My name is Victoria Van Arnam, and I perform as the Lady Victoria.
My name is Olivia Harding, and I perform as Liv the Druid with Music the Gathering.
And I'm Nicole Skelly, and my show is The Gwendolyn Show, but I also sometimes perform as Grace O'Malley, co-host of the Plunder Feast at the Arizona Fest.
Today we have an extra special topic for you. We've been receiving a lot of questions about the best things to wear at the Renaissance fairs, what to do if it's your very first time coming, and we really wanted to go in and talk about this. All of us combined have been performing at Renaissance fairs for a very long time at this point, and we've seen folks come and really enjoy it. We've seen folks come and not really enjoy it, and we want everyone to have a good time. That is our top priority as performers and as individuals involved with Renaissance fairs at any time. We want you to come and have a great time. And so here are some of our tips and tricks on how to make that the best thing that you can do.
So first of all, there's a big difference between what you can wear and what you should wear. And so to begin with what you can wear, I personally am a big believer in no dress codes. As long as your bottoms are covered, I am happy with anything. But in terms of at the festival, there are basically 3 rules to follow. 1, as Victoria would say, keep your bits covered. 2, no hate. So obviously, no blackface, no Nazi costumes. That should really be a given. And then 3, nothing dangerous. So nothing with fire on your costume, or check your regional Ren Fairs guides on how to have your weaponry, because a lot of them require them to be peace-tied and stuff. So that's basically the main 3, just hygienic, non-hateful, safe.
That's a really good baseline, and I will add to that a little bit, good footwear. Renaissance festivals are outside. The grounds are usually not paved. I can only think of 3 festivals that I know of that they have paved grounds, and one of them, the pavement is this.
It's questionable at best.
Questionable, but when you don't wear something that's comfortable to walk in all day, because you will be outside walking on uneven ground, sometimes hills, sometimes uneven cracked pavement, and only 2 ones that have pavement, but one of them's got a lot of hills. So
come prepared. There will be gravel, there will be loose sand, there will be rocks in your shoes. Do your shoes have straps?
There could be copious amounts of mud.
Yes. Has it rained in your area recently? If at all, then plan for mud, my friends. We all want to have our outfits be the most fun and amazing things and really put together, but there is something to be said for coming looking great, and then you got your sneakers on. No problem, as long as you're going to enjoy it and have a good time with that. That's worth it.
We as performers had to deal with this. Victoria and myself were both at the Brevard Renaissance Festival, where the mud gods descended upon us. And you may have seen some of the hilarious social media posts about it, but it was horrific, the amount of mud, and hilarious. And the performers started wearing Walmart work boots and Wellington boots, like little rubber ducky boots, because we couldn't actually keep our sandlars and other proper boots in good working condition anymore. The sandlar booth owner actually said, please don't just give up. Don't wear your sandlars in this anymore, because you are essentially just putting them underwater day after day after day. So if even the performers are willing to wear just essentially the equivalent of sneakers for a day, if you know it's going to be bad weather, you can do the same.
I also found pro tip, if you go to the Scarborough Renaissance Festival and it has rained, the ground is mud and clay, and it sticks to the bottom of your shoes. And so if you walk from the gate to a stage towards where I am, you're going to be about an inch higher by the time you get there, because it sticks to your shoes. What works really well to get the mud off your shoes is a horse hoof pick.
Oh, that's good to know.
Especially if you have shoes with massive treads, you can get it. That's real good. Yeah.
So bring your fancy shoes. Come in, take a picture, go back out, put on your comfortable shoes. Absolutely, let's do photo time. But it's okay.
brings us to another little thing. Many festivals, most festivals, I think, have a re-entry policy where if you need to go out to your car, they will either stamp your hand or you have to keep your ticket and you can get back in. And so make sure to check that before you go too, and before you leave. There's generally, the majority of festivals, there's always someone by the gate taking tickets. That's a person to ask if you don't know didn't look it up before, or you don't have reception, you didn't find out. You can ask them, like, can I come back in? A lot of people go out to like drop off if they make a big purchase, or if they wore a sweater and it's actually really warm, they'll put that in the car. Or sometimes people bring their own food and they go out and eat their lunch in the car and then go back into the festival.
And speaking of having a sweater, some of the most elaborate, beautiful costumes have many layers. And I'm curious, is there any of the three of us who has not seen someone pass out on a fair day? Nope. So we've all seen it. It's that common that people will pass out either in their heavy garb or in just a t-shirt and shorts. And so I would always recommend, even if you've made this gorgeous costume, if it's going to be pushing 95, have have a version of the costume that you can wear that has much fewer layers, because we want you to be safe and we want you to be healthy.
Yes, absolutely. So maybe easy, quick costumes for folks that would be really easy and comfortable. So everybody loves a good skirt, belt, little blouse top combo. I like to go to, if I have to outfit somebody like next week, right? We've got to go to the fair next week. We go to a thrift store. We go to Goodwill. We go to anything local that we can get our hands on. The older ladies section for blouses is top tier men's outfits, right? Because they're these big billowing things. A lot of time they'll have some cool embroidery on them. And if you put it on a guy, it looks like that Victorian, like, romance novel cover that you've always wanted. It is an amazing swap. Like, you wouldn't think to go for that, but like, that's my like super undercover tip, is to go and raid that section, because they're really cool, they're really well made, and they look super easy on guys. And then if you've got a little bit more time for guys, I would do a friar's costume. That is like the best functional outfit, because then you can just wear it with sandals and a rope belt. And if you can just get the Cossack sack top, or the tunic, you're good to go. It's incredible. Pirate, tons of accessories, tons of stuff you got to get to make it look really good. Friar, one good tunic and you are authentic, more authentic than most people would admit. So that's and
you don't have to go all out when you're getting an outfit. You don't have to show up in a big court dress with a hoop skirt and everything. A lot of patrons and even festival performers will, every season, they'll buy another piece to put their outfit together, because some of the stuff, especially if you purchase at festivals, are really, really well made, and so they're a little bit more expensive. So if you're wanting to get one of those, just don't be like you have to buy a whole giant costume. Get a shirt, great. Get a hat, awesome. Next year, get a belt, thrift store again. Mm-hmm. Then get a skirt or pants or whatever. You can build it piece by piece, and no one's going to be like, oh, they only got that one piece of costuming. Why didn't they get the whole thing? No one is going to say that, ever.
Because we're not at a convention. Maybe that's why, I just realized that's why people are doing that, is they think that it's like a cosplay, that they have to come fully dressed. Because at a convention, it's everything you have to do to get your outfit super prepared and super ready to go. But Ren fairs are a really slow build, because if you're going to do it right, you get your leather bracers from the leather maker there. You get your tunic from the seamstress there. You get your shoes from the shoemaker there. You build it at the Ren fair, and that is like a very expensive and very long-term investment, that the people that you're going and seeing dressed up to the nines and doing that for like 20 years, some of them. And so the concept that you have to come to the Ren fair fully formed and fully complete, absolutely not. Put on something and then build it as you go.
And if you're just starting out, unless you have a lot of income or you are a seamstress yourself, I recommend starting as a commoner. Because if you go straight into nobility, that's where you need a lot of stuff all at once. Whereas if you're a commoner, I need to tell the story of when I dressed my sister up for the Ren fair when I was like 18, she was 14. And she was famous for being a little Miss Malaprop. She would always mix words up. And so we were in her room and I was putting her, it was like, just like a little peasant skirt, a long skirt, just like what Victoria was saying. It was a little sort of blousey, frilly top and a belt and a scarf. And she said, but do I need like lots of skirts, like lots of sort of hoop skirts? Do I need this? Do I need that? And I said, no, because we're not dressing you like the nobility. You would need those things if you were a member of the nobility. And she goes, oh, and I'm dressing like a communist. And I was like, that's not the word. That's not the word you were looking for. But yes, maybe also. But my recommendation, so when I was like 16, 17, I spent all of my pocket money that I had been given on one very simple bodice at the Ren Fair. And I remember my mom was a little disappointed in me afterwards. She was like, when are you ever going to wear this? And she now realizes that was the wrong thing to say because I wore it all the time. I wore it, basically it enhanced every single thing I put together in terms of like turning it into another world. So I used it for all my Shakespeare productions. I was in this zombie Celtic mythology post-apocalyptic show and I wore it there. I wore it as a pirate. And so if you want to have like a femme presenting costume, I think the number one thing to invest in is a bodice.
But also be careful about where you get it from. If you want to get it at the Renaissance Festival, ask a performer which is the best booth that will give you the best bang for your buck. Because there are definitely booths that are do more sturdy corsets that'll last a long time, and there are booths that do more like fashion corsets that look cool, but they won't last as long maybe. And if you buy them off of Amazon, buy them before you go to the festival with enough time for you to return it and get another one if you need to, because and when Liv said invest in a corset, that is an investment. So yeah.
And I personally like bodices better. So the difference between a bodice and a corset is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is that a corset just sort of like goes across this way, but the bodice has the straps. Am I correct there?
Yeah, corsets don't have straps. Bodices do have straps over the shoulders.
Yeah. So whichever one works better for your character. I just like bodice because I am not well endowed and I sing. So I would like to have a little bit of stuff like hanging from my shoulders rather than all of it being held up by cinching in. And but it completely depends on what you prefer for your look and your movability.
And corsets, bodices do not have to be laced up so that you can't breathe. That's not a thing. I personally get my corsets from Corset Story. I believe they're in the UK. Their customer service is fantastic, and their bodices are really well made and last a long time. So that's a place to get
that's an important. If it hurts or if you can't breathe, it's not right. it's on wrong. Don't believe Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right. Oh my goodness. So speaking about buying things at the Renaissance Fair, the other number one rule is to bring cash. Renaissance fairs notoriously do not have sales signals, so that makes it hard for vendors to receive credit card payments. Sometimes, this is not always the case, but be aware of that if you are just coming with a card and ready to just buy things by card, as well as a lot of festivals will only take cash for some of their food or their fair run things. You can check some of this ahead of time, but as a absolute, there's few things that are absolute for every fair, but bringing cash, I would say probably at least $100 per person if you want to have an adult beverage, buy a trinket or two, and have lunch there. $100 is going to probably, in this day and age, be your bare minimum. Obviously, whatever your budget is comfortable, you can come. All the shows are free. You can come and watch it as much as you want and not spend a dime on top of that, But if you're going to come and want to do the entire experience, please bring cash, because it is a struggle to watch folks just stand in the ATM line as soon as they get in for an hour. Sometimes if the festival is big and very well attended that day, it is brutal to watch folks have to go through that process just because they didn't plan ahead in that way. So please bring cash.
Yeah, cash. And also, also many festivals, the majority of festivals have like games and rides that you can play, and the games that you can play and rides that you can ride. And so those are all usually cash only as well. So bring cash for the food, the drinks, some of the festival run stuff, games, rides, And most festival shows are called, they're hat fairs or tipping fairs, where at the end of a show, the performer will have a basket for tips. And if you want to tip the performer, you should never feel obligated to or pressured to. But if you want to tip the performers, then bring money for that, cash for that too.
And even when places do take card, keep in mind that once you have a certain number of people at the festival, cell service goes down hard. So as someone who, we do have a way to take credit card payments, I go panicky when someone comes up with their card, and I know a lot of people are there that day, because you'll just be like trying to do that thing with your cell phone in the air, trying desperately to run their payment. So another reason to bring cash, but also a reason to be prepared. So you may not have any cell service at some of these festivals, just because either because of location or because of number of people. So for example, if you're in a big group, do it the old school way. Have a central place that if you guys split up and you can't reach each other, you know, okay, we're going to meet at this location. Or if you had the entire schedule on your phone, take a screenshot of it. So just make sure you're not relying on data for any of that.
And when you come in, or if you have purchased your ticket online, please take a screenshot of your ticket so that you can get through the front gate quicker. That's a big issue. I'm currently at the Georgia Renaissance Fair, and a lot of people are having a big struggle with that because this area is a weird dead zone for a lot of cell signal, and folks will get up to the front gate, try and pull up their online ticket, and the line gets very backed up by that very quickly. So things to plan ahead. And if you have a kid, please do not rely on cell phone service to be able to locate them.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of tickets as well, several festivals have recently gone to online sales for tickets only. So check, again, do your research before you go. Look at their Facebook page and their website. Look at both, because sometimes they, so a lot of festivals are run by like a part-time office staff, or they might not have the website person that's there all the time. So things will maybe not be updated simultaneously or very quickly, but Facebook is easy to update. You can just post, whoever's the admin of the page can just post there, as opposed to going into Squarespace and doing HTML coding and Linux. I don't know. I don't know. So do your research in advance, website and Facebook, and then, and then you'll find out about a lot of these policies, and find out, do you need to, cell service, do you need to purchase your ticket online? Because like I said, a lot of festivals are going to only online ticket purchases. So you can't go to the front gate and then buy a ticket.
Speaking of festivals, how do you find a festival in your area?
Smoke sales. Ouija board.
Ouija board, yeah.
Definitely Ouija board.
Follow the caravan with too many stickers on the back of it.
Yeah. The real answer is that, Nicole, you go.
Oh, no. Yeah, I was just going to say, there are several websites that list a bunch of Renaissance festivals. I like to go to renfest.org. They have a list of Renaissance festivals, including the front page has what's the festival that's happening now. We also go to therenlist.com. And they have a list of festivals. I think they sort the Ren list. Is it sorted by state or by time of year? I'm not sure.
There's one that is. There's a couple of really great resources for this. And these are probably the best ways to go about it, because there's so many fairs that you might not have heard of. There's always a big state fair, and then there can be a little fairy festival. It might actually just be right down the road for you that you could check out and do first, and then go to the bigger fair.
Yeah, there are over 200 festivals, including in the country, including Renaissance festivals, medieval fairs, fairy festivals, and pyre festivals. So there's probably something closer than you think. It's right behind you.
And I just realized that the Ren list is, if you have your location services turned on, it immediately shows you the closest ones to you. I opened it up and I was like, ooh, that's the fair I'm doing right now. Thank you. That reminds me, though, because I was thinking about the festival I'm at right now, which shares all of the audience surveys with all of the performers. So that's something to keep in mind, that if you say something nice, not at every festival, but if you fill out the survey, then sometimes it gets back to the performers, and we just are delighted. Someone said, like, took the time to write like 4 whole lines about my band. And we're just sitting here like, oh, that's really nice. So to anyone who actually fills out those exit surveys at Renaissance fairs or any event, thank you so much. But it reminded me that one of the surveys said, too many furries. And so that's something to bring up, that you can have your opinions, but keep in mind that everyone who enters the festival has also paid to be there. And again, there is no dress code for people who pay to be there. So like I haven't heard personally of anyone actually approaching someone to complain about their costume if they're a paying customer. But just keep that in mind when you're going about your festival day, that you're going to see people cosplaying. You're going to be seeing people in furry costumes. I don't get it either, because I always perform in like 85-degree plus places, and I would never put on a furry costume because I sweat bullets. But it's just like, people are going to wear what they want to wear, and that's wonderful and delightful. So big thumbs up to everyone choosing what they want to wear.
So wear what you want to wear. Make sure your bits are covered, as per Victoria, saying good footwear. It's a family event. There are going to be kids, so there's that. Also, when you're at a festival, when you especially when you're dressed up in like a super nice outfit, you never want other patrons to think that you work for the festival or represent the festival, because the people who do work at the Renaissance festivals and are paid to be there as participants, as performers, so independent performers on stages or local cast or anything, they've gone through a lot of work and training to get to where they are, to where they are trusted to represent the festival in a positive way. So you don't want to show up at the festival and post up and be like, take pictures with me. Yeah, take pictures with me. Take pictures with me. Because that represents that you're working for the festival when you're not. So you don't ever want to be misconstrued about that.
I think that American Princess showed that very well. There's a couple that's patrons in American Princess, the Hallmark Lifetime show about Renaissance fairs?
I'm not sure where it is.
One of the two. Anyway, but there's a couple who have beautifully embroidered gowns, and they are, they're doing what many people like to do at the Ren Fair, and they're acting as their characters. But as soon as the main character mistakes them for someone who works there, they drop everything and go, oh, no, we don't work here. And I think that's the ideal, that you can still play and have a good time and be a character, but as soon as someone mistakes you as someone who actually can represent the festival, you can be like, no.
Yeah, that's a really good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was going to say that one more thing to add on the list of things to bring as the resident redhead, sunscreen. A lot of these festivals are very hot and sunny, so please remember to bring sunscreen, reapply. A lot of, many places have shade tarps or they have tents, but a lot of places don't, and I always hate seeing my audience roast. I have occasionally gone full future world and brought out my bottle of sunscreen because I'm worried about all of you. Also, shout out to the woman at the Florida Renaissance Festival who I left my sunscreen backstage, somehow didn't remember to apply, was in the shade on the stage, and then went out with the merch and went, oh no. And she just said, I got you, and just sprayed me back and forth like a car wash in 100 SPF. And she was amazing.
Perfect. Because if everybody's prepared, then whoever forgot to be prepared is covered. And it's me.
Literally.
I forget.
Covered in
Literally covered in sunscreen.
Yeah.
Literally
Bug
covered.
sprays, also good for some of these wetter, sort of swampier areas.
Yeah. Think Florida, think Louisiana for surezies. Ooh, Kentucky, lots of bugs there. Lots of bugs.
Yeah, Oklahoma, not so much for mosquitoes, but if you have DEET, there are lots of ticks and stuff like that.
I was going to bring that up too. Not just mosquitoes, but ticks as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Another good resource when you are researching your festival that you want to go to is not just the festival's Facebook page, but often there are Friends of Festival Name Facebook groups that you can join, and you can ask questions in those groups. You can also scroll through or search for topics. If you're like, does this fair have turkey legs? You can search for turkey legs and see if someone's already asked the question, because the information might already be posted there. So go join that group, search Facebook for Friends of blah, blah, blah festival, or Friends of Faire, or festival, festival name friends, stuff like that. Just configurations of those different words so that you can apply as to join the group, and then you can ask your questions there, or again, see if they've already posted it.
Speaking of those groups, one thing that I've been seeing in a lot of Faire groups is discussions about trinket trading. And for those of you who aren't familiar, trinket trading is basically when people who do not work at the festival, people who are attending the festival for the most part, bring in a collection of items that they want to sort of swap with other people who do trinket trading, or in some cases, like they'll leave it for performers that they really like. They'll make special ones for performers that they like to interact with, things like that. And there's been a lot of discussion because there need to be boundaries set with trinket trading, because some of the trouble that's been had with trinket trading is that people will come in trying to give away things that are already being sold at another booth, or they're essentially using trinkets as a tip, and they're expecting, so for example, like if someone says, oh, if you give me $1, I'll give you a pin, they'll come up and give a trinket and be like, well, can I have a pin? And the performer is sort of put on off guard and thinks, what? No. And then, so essentially they've been a bit of a distraction. And I think the most beautifully put missive about trinket trading was designed by our friend who performs as Lady Prudence. And if you go to her page, she has this long explanation, but there's one paragraph that I really love, which I'm going to read here from Lady Prudence. And it says, so believe me when I tell you, I understand the draw of making physical tokens as an expression of joy, generosity, and creativity to share with other patrons. But, gentle reader, I must emphasize that there is a diminishing return that materially impacts those of us who make our living off of creating these moments, those of us who have auditioned, juried, trained, paid fees, and obeyed festival rules in order to provide your fellow patrons with unique, high-quality, and safe experiences. And so essentially just, and the rest emphasizes that as long as your trinket trading does not basically take away from things that have already been set up by the festival, then wonderful. But if it's basically taking away business from people who have paid to have a booth at the festival or are trying to be used as currency, that's when things become a little dangerous.
And it lives in my car.
Yeah. I want to say because there has been a lot of like no trinket trading and a lot of hating on trinket trading, that because we were talking earlier about how you can visit the Ren Fair with no money except for the price of the ticket. Like you can bring your own lunch, you could go and see all the shows for free. You don't need to tip. It's always just suggested that if you want to show your appreciation with a little trinket that you've made, you should never feel bad about doing so. Like, I know that there are some people who are like, I just want money, I just want tips. And sure, that's our prerogative, but my heart will always be warmed by someone who's like, well, I may not have a couple dollars, but I have this little thing that I made. And that's always really beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It's so interesting hearing about trinket trading in terms of using it as currency or using it as a tip, because I was always more aware of the trinket trading where a patron, so someone who is patron but maybe dresses the part more, comes really often, they want to bring trinkets to the festival to give to other patrons that may be new or to give to children. And so I've always heard of it as like when you do that, not only are you taking away from that person maybe buying something from a booth, but you again are representing yourself as someone who can give these things out. Mm-hmm. And never ever ask for money for your trinkets from another patron. Someone did that to me last year. Though I wasn't a patron, but yeah, they were like, do you want to buy one of these things? And I was like, no, I'm sitting here eating mozzarella sticks. No, please. Also, who are you? So yeah, they didn't work for the festival.
I also think it's just a good rule of thumb that if you are not hired to work with children, if you're just, attending the festival, it's probably best not to interact and give things to children, because that's always a very gray, murky area.
Yeah, and some fairs really do have statements about trinket trading. They have made rules about it and how you can engage with it. And a lot of the time it's something as simple as don't try and trade inside of a booth, right? Don't do it there. And then other fairs have straight up banned it just due to issues with other experiences. Some folks have in the past made food and been well-meaning, and then you get allergy issues, right? There are unfortunate consequences that we now, as Renaissance fairs, are becoming much more popular, honestly. People are very excited to come and engage and be a part of it, and we are so excited for that. But safety is still a very top priority, and Renaissance fairs being outside venues are already hyper difficult for some people to exist in on a good day, and we have to be very aware of that. And, sometimes people are drunk and then they do weird things. And we're just taking it as we go. We're just figuring it out sometimes. So, thank you so much, Friend Fair fans. Thank you for joining us here on this episode of Ren Talks presented by the Digital Ren Fair. My name is Victoria Van Arnam. I perform as the Lady Victoria. I can be found at theladyvictoria.com. I have a brand new album coming out very shortly. It's a lo-fi remix of my solo album, so please stay tuned on that one. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook as The Lady Victoria.
And I am Olivia Harding. I perform as Liv the Druid with Music the Gathering, and we can be found online at Music the Gathering Band at all the places. And we have finally, Level 3 is in theory coming out right after I finish this podcast. So once you hear this, you will be able to order Level 3 on our website, musicthegathering.com.
And I am Nicole Skelly. I perform The Gwendolyn Show. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, and I have a Discord server. And sometimes it's Gwendolyn Show, sometimes it's The Gwendolyn Show, so good luck.
Perfect. A challenge. Alrighty. Thank you so much, ladies. Bye.